Yeah, great. We have the recordings turned on now. Yeah, before we begin, I just want to first appreciate you guys for turning up today again. I know this thing is not easy, right? It's very easy to start, but it takes a strong will to finish, actually, because it's a mutual feeling. I could also feel like, oh, I have a lot of work to do at work and I have plenty tasks that I need to attend to, and maybe I should be using this time to rest, close some of my tasks. Come on, guys, it's a Sunday evening, or find somewhere and sit down, relax, watch a movie. But I started this, right? And one thing about me is once I start, I always want to see like the finish line. And I don't mind jumping on this call and it's just one person on the call. I'll teach the person throughout the time and I'll make sure I deliver what I want to deliver to that one person. So yeah, let's see how we can also build in that habit to start and finish. It's very easy to start. The initial energy is always there, full. But as time goes on, you see that energy keeps dropping down. So it takes a good reason to start to keep to the end. So if you have a good reason why you started, and then despite the challenges, you feel like, oh, because of this one single reason, I'm not going to let go. I'll see this thing through to the end. And then you have that discipline, you'll be able to pull through. Yeah, so that's by the way. Let's see how good. If you really want this, I could put in the best you can to see it to the end, basically. And though we have a lot of things happening in our life, work, family, other tasks, other things, problems, Nigerian problems, all those things are great factors to make you want to give up or make you want to take a step back. But you see now who give up man for couple. So yeah. So yesterday after our session, I added this course, terminal command. So I made sure this cover a good details and more. Let me see if let me enroll. I think I'm logged in. Let me see. Okay, I'm logged in as a student. So I'll just enroll. So yeah, this guy has a light and a dark mode. I'm sure maybe you must have played with it. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Then he also, when you are taking a lesson, it has an AI tutor. I don't know if you've also played with this guy. You can expand this thing, right, to give you more space and ask this guy questions.
Yes. So I
And yeah,
wish
he
I'm
will.
not seeing your screen.
Okay.
I think it's a network.
But
Okay.
we can see your screen.
Oh, Destiny, I think it's your network. Maybe you could just leave the call and join again. So yeah, this you can as well play with this guy. You can ask me a couple of questions and all you should be able to answer. So yeah, so like I was saying,
Okay, sir.
I pushed. Can you see my screen now? Destiny?
Sir, please. Yes. If you are using like a phone to take the questions, will you also see the AI guide?
Yes, is there.
Okay,
Is
sir.
there.
I'll check.
So
Okay, sir. I'll check.
yeah, I pushed in this course. Uh, it has just two modules: navigating the file system and then working with files and directories. So when you go through it, I think this should give you a great understanding. Mind you, for each of those lessons, there are like exercises here. Always feel free to take a couple of minutes to try them out. You could see navigating um, file system. That's like the first module, basically, right? How it works um, for Mac operating system and then Windows. I think that's covered. yeah, so you could just also go through this course. Then I also shared a GitHub link to the the simple small code we wrote yesterday about on HTML and CSS. And because of because I shared the GitHub link, I then had to also push in this course, Git and GitHub. So this guy gives you like a full breakdown of Git and GitHub. We also do like a quick intro into Git and GitHub before we go into JavaScript fully. So that you understand, so that once you start taking the course, you understand fully what Git and GitHub is all about. I believe maybe by now you must have created your GitHub account. If you haven't, feel free to just type github.com to create an account. Yeah, already I'm logged in, that's why you're saying this. But assuming I wasn't logged in, you see, let me see. Open incognito. Yeah. github.com. You see something like this. So what you need to do is just create an account, and someone is trying to join. Just create an account, and then you have your dashboard looking maybe like this. Yeah, yours may likely not have something like this because I pushed in a README file so that if you visit my page, you should get to like read about me and all. So yeah, it also tracks like your GitHub activities basically. So most times, let me give you a hint. Over the years, anytime I'm interviewing, most times an interviewer will ask me to send him my GitHub URL. What are they looking for? They just want to see how active you are. So all these blue lines you see are just showing the number of how active you're writing code. Like in the last year, the number of contributions you've done. So 2025, it's like 2025, I started coding from January to December. So those days where I did not see those, is it green colors, right? It shows that those were like the days I did not do any contribution at all, right? So yeah, like those were the days I wasn't active pushing code, and also they want to also see how active this guy have been working in writing code. So once you create your account, you can also start seeing some of all those, those green things as you work, right? So it's nice to create your account so we can also start collaborating because this week is more of me trying to do a nitty-gritty breakdown of all those concepts. Maybe subsequent week we may likely keep Sunday aside, as maybe we could just be having like 30-minute sessions on Sundays, right? So we could also have time to relax and do other things. So yeah, please feel free to open GitHub, create your account, and we could start using it already. So you also enroll to this course and then get to study more on Git and GitHub. I think let me just log in as an instructor, and then so that I could do a preview of some of these courses quickly. GitHub. Okay, let me just start with this guy and then preview. Okay, yeah, we have done a preview on this guy already. So let me go to Git and GitHub. Yeah, this is Git and GitHub. Let's preview this course. All right. So basically, you also understand the problem GitHub is trying to solve. So it's just more like an environment where you push your code base, and then you get to collaborate with other team members. I would have loved to show you how you get to collaborate with other team members but the account I have are organization's account, and I can't be showing organization's account on this call, but rather it's recorded. So bear with me. So maybe once we start collaborating on our own projects together, I get to understand how collaboration with team members get to look like. How you open PR, drop comments. I'll be dropping comments on your work, on your PRs. You'll be seeing the comment, you'll be resolving them. I'll be creating issues, and then you get to understand how that active collaboration look like, right? So yeah, so GitHub has two ways you can get to use it. You can install GitHub and use like the GitHub desktop, or you can get to use GitHub in your terminal. So that was us learning terminal command. You can easily apply that here. So you can then see that synergy. You see everything will now start making sense, right? So throughout, personally, I don't even have GitHub desktop on my PC at all. I do all my things in the terminal. So I'm more of that terminal guy. So, but yeah, when you go through this, you learn in details how to navigate your way around GitHub. Yeah. So let me pull up my terminal as usual. So we could continue. We could start the session properly. Bringing my terminal up. Now let me minimize this guy. So as usual, remember the drills. Let me zoom in a bit. So basically what I want to do is I want to navigate into that folder that we were working in yesterday. Launch that folder using my VS Code, and then create a new folder, right? Called lesson 2. So maybe basically I'll be giving my CMD. Remember that folder was on my desktop. So change directory into my desktop. This is into my desktop. So you when you go through that course, you discover that from one command you could just do plenty things at a time. So for example, let's say, let me tell you why using, somebody could argue that, oh, and instead of you coming here write commands to create a folder, I can just come here and do new folder and I have a folder. But let me tell you the downside of it. Let's say we want to create 100 folders. You come here, you can create, you click, you right click, new folder, rename it one folder, two. By the time you do that 100 times to create 100 folder, with one command, I can create the 100 folders and sit and be waiting for you. So that's like, so most time if you are, when you become very comfortable using your terminal, you discover that a lot of things, you can do them way faster in the terminal than if you're using a GUI. GUI, check it. You understand what GUI stands for, right? So maybe that's why maybe you get to see me always in the terminal, right? Because a lot of things seem pretty fast here for me. For example, now I want to navigate into desktop and then go and look for that folder. So let me bring that folder here. Typically, this is what somebody can do. You come here, you click it, it is open. You can then right click to create a new folder for lesson 2 today, right? But yeah, that's like the typical scenario what somebody could do. So there's like, okay, let's say you go to your desktop. Let's imagine this thing wasn't on the desktop. Maybe it was in somewhere in my document folder hidden somewhere. You go to your document, locate this folder. But from here now, I can navigate from my desktop. I want to go inside of ICT Zoid Cohort 2.0. So this is one command. I'm navigating. So that's enter inside desktop. There's a folder inside called ICT Zoid Cohort 2.0, and then I'm already inside. So there's, when you go through that course, you discover there's another command I didn't use yesterday. I used ls to see all the subdirectories in the folder. There's another one called pwd. The pwd shows you like the active working directory. It's like giving you a direction that, oh, this is where you are. For example, you just come back, you just open your terminal. You open your terminal for the first launch. You want to know where you are so that I can start doing navigations. PWD is telling me that I'm at the root folder of my system. So from here, I can start my navigation, right? So then I want to launch this guy with my VS Code. I want to launch this guy with my VS Code. Oh, I think I've launched it. And yeah, that was done. Let me try that again. So what I did was I launched my terminal. From my terminal, I did pwd. That's I want to check my current directory. Let me zoom this guy a bit. Then, okay, I see that I'm at the root folder. I can then navigate to desktop. Let me allow this guy. Navigate to desktop. Open ICT Zoid folder and then open the current folder in my VS Code. So that is done. So imagine you looking for that folder and then trying to open that folder in your VS Code, right? Two things. Even from there, remember I said I want to create another folder called lesson 2, right? Right from here, I can go ahead and then create that folder, make directory, call this guy lesson -2_2. I'm sorry, there's someone on my door. Please, guys, just give me a second. There's somebody on my door. All right, sorry, I'm back. Yeah, so I've created that folder. So if I do ls, you can see that that folder is right here. You can see lesson 2. So from here, I can just do code dot and then launch my VS Code. You can see the 2 folders are right there. So this is going to take you a shorter amount of time compared to somebody that is trying to click here and go there, do all the GUIs, navigations, and all that, right? So as an engineer, you should just train yourself to. It may not be comfortable at the start, but maybe as time goes on, you enjoy doing it basically. Yeah, so I've created a new folder called lesson 2. So when you're using your VS Code also has a terminal. So a situation whereby you're writing code, you want to push them. I don't want to go back here and start using this guy, right? From here, I can launch a terminal. I think you can see that here. This is terminal, new terminal. It just opens at the bottom here. You can always close it, right? Or you could just use control backtick. That backtick on your keyboard. You can see my keyboard, this backtick. Right? Or you could just use control backtick to get your terminal. Right? So this is like my terminal. So if when you go through the Git and GitHub course as well, remember I pushed this folder into GitHub, right? So currently GitHub is tracking this thing. Just a quick recap. Yes, let's put this guy back up on Git and GitHub. Let's preview this course. So we said that let me zoom this in. The problem GitHub solves. So think about the last time you edited an EC on a document. Did you ever have multiple copies like EC draft 1 dot and final dot and all of that? So every developer has done that same thing. This is what this whole thing is trying to say. And let me give you guys heads up. So let's say you're working on a Google Doc. You know, Google Doc gives you timestamp. Like maybe you did an edit today, yesterday. No, let me start day before yesterday. You did another edit yesterday. You did an edit today. So it gives you timestamp. You can check like your history, like your work history, what you did yesterday. You can go back to what you did day before yesterday. That's just how GitHub works, right? It allows you to push all your code base and then you can track timestamp. Should in case, let's say, let me give you an example. You work on the future and you push it to your production environment. and then something breaks. That new change you just push now breaks the server. You can go back in time to a particular commit, right? You can go back in time. So it just allows you to go back in time as well. And then it also allows you to push new things. So when you work, it also allows you to track the status, like where you are currently, right? Let me see which part of this lesson we could just look at quickly. Installing GitHub. Um, you can read this up. You can read all of this up, basically. Don't worry, let's do it practical, right? So already I have GitHub connected to this thing. How do you connect GitHub to your code base? Let me go to my GitHub account. So GitHub allows you to create buckets called repositories. Repositories, look at repositories like a container where you just create in the cloud to store some. For every project, you have like a container, right? So if you look at, maybe you look at my profile, you can have, like currently I have like 122 repositories that I've created. So here I've kept like different things. So currently you can even see LMS web. So the current LMS you're using, this is it. ICZoid Tech Lab. This is like our website. So this is like my own personal website. It's stored here. So there are different repositories. So many other repositories for doing different things, different projects and all. An AI image editor. Wow. I remember when I was working on that, it was pretty fun. Yeah, there are a lot of all different GitHub repositories, right? So when you create a GitHub repository, for example, what am I going to do? Let me do something. So let me do something, right? Let me do something. So this is an organizational repository. So this one belongs to ICT. That's why I can show you guys. I can open this one. So I have a couple of guys that have contributed into these repositories. You can see them here. I think some of them are even on this call, right? So these are like different projects we've built for different guys that are running. These are like the elements we built for. I built for a friend that owns Linux, right? And then Wadina and all. So I want to now create a new repository and push this code base. This is the code base I'm referring to. This work now, right? I will delete it. Currently, it's on my personal GitHub account, but I'll remove that repository from my personal GitHub account and then push it to ICT and give you guys access to it. So I can come here. So the same process I'm following, you can apply the same process to your own personal GitHub account. So you can create a new repository. You give it a name. So let me call this cohort 2.0. So it checks if the availability. If peradventure you already have this particular name given to another repository to tell that, oh, this already exists. So repositories have two sort of visibilities. There's a public and then there's a private. I'll set it as public. If I set this guy as private, you are not going to see it. It's only the people I invite into this repository will be able to see the code base. But if you set a repository as public, anybody that has access to that link will be able to see it. But if it is private, even if I share the link with you, you will not be able to see what's there until it's made public. So I'll make this guy public and then create the repository, right? So now you have created a repository. So this is a fresh repository you have created. So let me come back to my code base terminal. Already I have a repository that is connected to this code base, right? I want to first of all delete this lesson 2 folder. I'll tell you guys why I deleted it, right? So I want to remove, because if you do git status now, you notice that, don't worry about that. Ignore that command. I'll explain it. I want to take you gradually, right? So if I do git origin, it's showing that something is connected. Still ignore that one, that command. Let me just remove this guy. Git remove origin. Git checkout. Ignore everything I'm doing for now. I want to start from the grassroots. I want to start afresh as though we have not connected GitHub to this already. I'm trying to remove this. So let me remove. Let me remove this guy by force. Git. Yeah, it's awesome. So now this project, this folder now is not connected to GitHub at all. Now I've removed everything concerning GitHub on this project. So let's start again. So let's imagine that I've created a GitHub. We have created a GitHub repository. We have our project locally on our system now. We want to push this thing to GitHub so that other people can invite people to join and collaborate with us, right? Or we want to push it to GitHub so that other people can also have access to it. So the first command you run, so the first thing you do is you come and get your terminal open, right? So you have opened your terminal. The first command to run is git init. So it's just initiating GitHub into this repository, right? You're saying, okay, I want to connect this GitHub to repository. So it's just git init, git init. Now, if you check, so now Git is initiated, but there's no repository connected yet. In fact, you can even see this command here. Go it. So once you even create a new repository, you can see it here, git init, git add readme. Here you just want to like add a readme file, sort of, right? Then what's a readme file? We'll talk about that maybe somehow down the lesson. So you have this command, git commit, git branch, git remote, plenty commands. Let me not fast track you. So, but we'll just use these three commands. You can copy these three or and paste and run them once. But I don't want you guys to go there. I want us to understand what each of these commands is trying to do, right? So the first command, you can copy this first command, go to your terminal. Also, make sure that you are in that folder where you want to push. You could just do pwd to check your current, sorry. Yeah, you can even see the folder written here. We are currently in ICT Zoid Core 2.0, and that's the folder I want to push to GitHub. We'll now paste that first command. The first command is you're only saying git remote, add your origin. So this link is the link to the GitHub repository. So you're only saying you want to connect this local one to that remote version of it. So you're adding it and giving it a name called origin. You can change this name, right? But the default thing to do is origin. A situation where you're pushing to two different repositories. Let me not even go there. But yeah, if you ever get to that stage where you want to push to two different repositories, that's where you can say, okay, I'm pushing to origin and then I'm pushing to, and you can then say, okay, git remote add, you not put origin again, you can now put a different name, right? So, and then you now put the link to the second repository. So that allows you to push to two different repositories. You can make changes and then push to this repository, or you can push to this one, or you can decide and push to the both of them, right? So this just adds. So that's the first command we have written. Then we'll go back again. The second command is git branch. So what are branches? Branches. I'm looking for a real life scenario. Can anybody explain what a git branch is? I'm referring to the developers on the call. Do you have any typical real life scenario you can use in explaining what the branch is? I'm referring to the guys on the call. Okay, silence means I'm assuming you don't have. Yeah, Destiny, do you have an experience? Yeah, unmute and talk.
Okay, so I have like an idea because I watched a tutorial on it.
Okay, let me
Okay,
hear your
so
idea.
from the explanation they gave, it was like a bridge whereby it breaks the different code you do. So that, for example, now if you want to delete a part of, like, let me say you are collaborating with different um, developers in a project, whereby you did like a mistake. Like from this Git, there's a command that if you use, is it reset, Git reset is going to like delete everything, like the previous code you did earlier. So
All
I
right.
think that breach is what we break the is it the code, something like that, from my understanding, that when you do something like that, maybe it's only your code that is faulty and you want to like break it, you can now do that. So that bridge is going to block the other codes that the other developers do from not getting interrupted by what you want to do in your own code. So that's like the idea I had.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's fine. Let me try to pick your brain a bit. So basically, look at a branch. It has clicked. Just the way the name sound, branch. You know, a tree has branches. You can see one branch will go this way, another one will go this way. All of them will head towards different directions, but they all emanate from one stem. It's one stem that then builds out different branches. Each of those branch could hold different things, right? Maybe a branch, and a branch could hold some, let's say if you were referring to like a mango tree, for example, one of the branch can hold like, let's say maybe 10 mango fruits on it. Another one may not even hold any mango fruit at all. Another one may even be dry. Another one may even, yeah, another one may even be dried completely. So, but at the end of the day, all of them come back into one, but they are holding different parts of this mango tree. They could hold different fruits. They may not hold fruit at all, right? So just look at a branch. Let's bring that knowledge back here. When you're writing code, let's say I'm working with 3 developers on a particular project. All of us were in the same repository. There's a stem. That stem is called a master branch. Let me go back. So there's a stem. That stem is called the master branch. Let me go back to this. Now, this command here, git branch m hyphen, there's a capital hyphen m, is telling us that, okay, we want to create a branch called main, and this main is the stem. Then you can have other branches, but you can then merge into the stem. Back to my explanation. I'm working on a project with 3 different developers. We are all in one repository. Maybe I'm working on a future. Okay, we're building front end. So let's say I am building the login form. Another developer is building the password forgot form, where you have like forgot page. I'm building the login page. Developer B is building the password forgot page. Developer C is building the password reset page, whereby when a user tries to reset the password, he can now create new password. 3 of us are building different parts of this system. So I can create my own branch and do my work inside. That branch is holding a different thing. Developer B can create his own branch and then it hold a different thing. Developer C can create his own different branch and then it holds a different thing. At the end of the day, all of us will now do a PR, a pull request. That pull request simply means I want to merge my work into the stem. I want to connect my branch and push my work into the stem, so that B2 will push his work into the stem, C2 will push his work into the stem, and then we'll now see that full-blown app come out as one single app, but it was built by 3 different people working on 3 different species. So each of these guys is now creating a branch to work in. So let's say while trying to push or merge into the stem. So before we now merge into the stem, we also review what developer C did, right? So let's say when we merge, there was an omission somewhere that we didn't see. We now merge it inside, right? We now merge it into the stem. Then a problem arises. We can split up. You can pull back. You can go back in time and pull back that guy's work, and then the other A and B still stands, and the project runs effectively. That's just like the essence of branching. So if it's a project, you now put each feature in different branches, and then you can then merge it into the main project. That's like the concept of branching system, right? So I believe when you go through that course, you should understand a lot about it. So yeah, then the push command. For the push command, it's like you're pushing what you have locally, remotely. Now, if you look at our remote GitHub repository, there's nothing here, right? But on our local machine, we have a folder that has some code snippets. So if we now use that command, git push, we are pushing to the origin. Now, you now specify the name of your branch called main, right? So we are pushing into main. But let me do something very crazy. What if I delete this and I can undo it? Okay, let me do something. There's something I want to do. Okay, let me go into this folder and move out that lesson 1. Let me go back to my VS Code. Yeah, great. This is what I want. Now you see this folder is empty. Let's create a file inside and call it readme.md. Yeah, I'm not teaching you guys markdowns, but maybe I should create a course for markdown too. I can call this thing cohort 2.0 live lessons. So yeah, I just made a change to this. I just added the file, right? So you can also check. So I added the file. I want to check my changes. I can type git status. So git is the same way you try to check your help status. So you're also checking git status to see the things that you have pushed and the things that you have not pushed. So git status just you are checking the things that you have not committed. I will explain commit. The things that are still on your local machine that you have not pushed, right? So I now have, when I did git status, I saw that, okay, there are some red things. Let's go back to that remote environment. Where is it? Yeah, it's here. So remember, we added a readme file. There's this command git commit. So you create a commit. So you can now have git commit -m. You now pass in your message. Don't worry, let me push this and then I'll come back and explain this. Let me call future added a readme file. Oh, sorry, you add first. So you do git add first. Sorry, you do git add first, right? Git add, you can specify the name of the file you want to add, or you could just do git add dot to add everything. So now that I've added, I can do git status. You see, this thing is no longer red. It was red initially. So I now did git add. Then I'll do git commit and pass in my message, git commit -m, followed by double quotation and the message I want to pass. Enter, right? Then I'll do git push origin main. I want to push it to me. I'll not clear my terminal. So let me come back here and refresh this guy. So you now see that it has something called, this was the file we created, and this was what I just wrote inside. It's in the main branch. This is the only branch that is here, right? Back to what I did. I wrote 3 commands, git status. First, I wanted to check if the changes I made are being tracked. Track. By track, what do I mean by track? So when you do git init, it's like you're putting a watchman on your local machine. So if you do any change to any file, that watchman will tell you that, oh, you made changes to this thing. So git commit is like going to tell that watchman that this is what I did. Let me take that again. Git status is like active. It's like asking watchman, did you see anything? The watchman will say, yeah, I saw some files that you did something in them, you modified them, but you did not tell me what you did. Git commit is like now you explicitly telling the watchman what you did. Like, okay, git commit, you now pass the message. You're specifying. So this message pass should like carry what you did. So I said I added the readme file, right? So, and then I now push this thing. So by the push command, I'm pushing it from my local machine to the copy in the cloud. That's like in the GitHub repository. So the code is on my PC and it's also in the cloud. God forbid something happened to my PC, I can extract this code base back, right? So that's even one of the key essence. So if you see when I refresh, okay, let me come back and make another change. So clearing your terminal, can use Control L. That just clears your terminal, right? So let me add another thing here. Another message here. I can call this. I can call this lesson. Can you please mute yourself? Lesson 1. So for lesson 1, we did HTML, and CSS. So okay, I just made changes to a file. So let me come and check. Ask my Git man, did you see anything? He said, yes, you modified readme. He said, yes, you modified readme. Okay, I said, yeah, it's true. I can now add the message, git add. Okay, I now added it. I now pass my commit, git commit. And now say, okay, I can write my message here that, okay, I modified readme file, right? But these changes are not up there yet. They are not here yet until you push. So if I do git push origin main, and I come back here and I refresh this page, that's the GitHub repository. Now you can now see the content I modified on GitHub. Right? Great. So all these commands, if I am working, I don't write one after, like I don't do git add, then come back and do git commit, come back. I can merge all those commands into one line and just push. You have to be super fast. That's where people start looking at you as a 10x developer. Right? This is what I mean. I come here, and then I have, let me make changes. Let me add lesson 2. And in this lesson 2, we are looking at Git and GitHub plus JS. We look at JavaScript. This is what the time is. Wow. We can need to move faster. So now I can do Git status. The guy is telling me, yeah, I saw that you modified something. That's one line. So if I am working, I'll do git add. That's like the first command. And the 2 ampersand and write git commit. Then I'll pass in my commit message. I'll say, okay, I modified readme again. And then I can pass my last command, git push origin main. So all the 3 commands, I merged them in one line and then I pushed. So if I refresh this thing, you can see my changes are also live. So you can just put all those 3 commands together and push them on. Yeah, it's great to start. You could just be writing one after the other and then when you get conversant with the whole thing, you just be putting things out, right? So by the time somebody like git add, push and is waiting for add, push and is waiting for commit, you could just write a single line and then you have everything, um, you have everything pushed at once, basically. Yeah, so that's basically the concept of Git and GitHub, right? So good. Let me now bring in back that file I moved. Then explain the concept of branching. So now I've put this here. So if you look at the if you look at our branches here, so this just shows you your branches, right? We have just one branch. But I want you guys to be, I want to be able to separate my lessons. In each branch you hold a different, so the content of yesterday should be in a separate branch, maybe called lesson 1. The content of today's lesson should be in another branch called lesson 2, right? So I can come here now and create a new branch. To create a branch is git checkout. Git to create now, git checkout, you put -b, and then let me call this lesson 1, for example. So you now notice that I am in lesson 1, right? So in lesson 1 now, I brought back this content. I can now check git status, what's happening. It's now showing that, oh, you added 5, right? Great. So I can commit that 5, right? Let me edit my commit message. I can say added lesson 1 code base, one single line. You understand those different lines. So I've pushed that one single line. So let's come back here and refresh this guy. I'm up, so wasting my time. Sorry, this guy is still loading. Oh, did I push? Oh, yeah, I pushed, but I did a great mistake. Good to make mistakes, right? Oh, okay. I think my push didn't go. Why did it not go? I didn't edit my one liner. Git add is correct. The lesson, the message is correct, but I'm pushing in. I said git push me, but I'm not in the main branch. I'm in lesson 1 branch. So this was supposed to be the name of the branch I am in, right? Let me see. Let me see. So it's still reading as one branch. Let me check if that went at all. Let me make a change in this file. Let me just change something here. Okay. Let me git status. Okay, we'll add it. Let's go one after the other. So let me do git add. Git add. So if I check status again, it's now in green. Git I've added. I will now commit. Git commit, and then git push origin lesson 1. Yeah, this has pushed. So yeah, immediately you see asking me to make a pull request, right? So that's to try and merge what I just pushed now. You also notice that we now have 2 branches here. But in this main branch, this is the only thing you can see. You not see that folder. If you click this drop down, you now see lesson 1 branch. So on lesson 1 branch, if I navigate to lesson 1 branch, you can now see that folder, right? You can click to see all the code base we did, right? So great. So back to this guy. Oh, okay. So, but the main branch is like the default branch. If you click, you can even see the default to the main branch, right? So now back to our example of 3. Lesson 1 branch. Lesson 1 branch is holding the content of yesterday's session. The main branch, which is the stem, we have not done any PR, so it does not have those contents. It's until we make a PR and merge it inside, that's when the main branch will also have the content of lesson 1 yesterday, right? So back to our developer A, B, and C. What developer A is working on is not going to be in the main project. It's not going to be in the main app until he makes a PR and we review and merge it inside. That's only when that changes will be reflected inside, right? So for today's lesson, we are going to create a new folder. So we'll work in a different branch now. Remember to create a branch, we want to check out. So now, let me explain something real quick. If you want to check out into an already existing branch, you don't have to use this that's -b again. Let me do that. Check out this B that is here. You don't have to put in that B again. You just go check out into main, because already main existed. So you notice that now that I'm in main, you don't see all those, you not see that folder. Not like it's deleted, it's because I'm in main branch. If I check out to, or if I navigate into lesson 1, lesson_1, you see the folder is back here. But if I navigate back to the main, you see it's not there, because main does not have content of that work. So that one no concern me, sort of, you get the check. So but now let's check out to a new branch called lesson_2. This is where we now have our JS lesson code base. So already we are here now, right? So I can just create a new folder and call this lesson_2. So I have this folder here now. So today, basically what we're treating is JavaScript, right? So all our JS work are going to be here. So let me just create a dummy note. Let me just call this lesson_2.js. JS stands for JavaScript. JavaScript extension, right? Remember yesterday when we were doing HTML, we do .html. When we are doing CSS, we did .css, right? And then for JavaScript, it's going to be .js. As when we are doing TypeScript, we're going to be doing .ts, right? But yeah, maybe we could have sessions after this program. We could have like a TypeScript session, right? So, but .js. So I've created this file. There's nothing inside of this file, right? I just want to finish this short explanation on JavaScript, and then on Git and GitHub, then we'll launch full time into JS, right? So yeah, so I've created the file. We'll just do our git status. You see that we've created a new file. We could add that file, git. We can commit it as well. Git commit. We can pass in our message. Added lesson2 folder. Then we can push this guy, git push origin. Yeah, some people pass this underscore use. It just means user, right? Origin, or in lesson2, lesson_2. So push it here. Okay, I think that has gone through. So let's go here and refresh this to see if our changes are reflected. Yep. So now see you have 3 branches. If you navigate into lesson 1, you see only lesson 1 folder. Lesson 2 folder is not here. If you navigate into lesson 2, you see only lesson 2 folder. This guy is just asking us to open a PR and merge those work, right? But yeah, let's not merge it yet. So that once you come here, you want to see lessons 2 content, you just switch branch. You want to see lesson 1 content, you just switch branch, basically. Yeah, so basically that's it for Git and GitHub. That was a good introduction. As Git and GitHub was the only thing we're treating today, I would have been like, oh, we are actually in time, right? But yeah, we'll just do a quick intro into JavaScript and stop end the session by 9:30 or 9:25. So it's 9 already. Just give me 20 minutes as usual. I'll do the best I can do with JavaScript for today, right? Wait. So let's come back to. So yeah, you can go through this course and then you have a lot of all these things are covered. Like here, there's Git branching here. You can see why branches exist. Main is the branch that always live, always working, always deployable. You never build new features directly on main, right? So that's main. You understand how to create new branches. Yeah, how to pass your message. There's a Git switching and all those things. Just explore them and try to look at all these things. Pulling. Yeah, we didn't discuss how to pull your code base, but you can. Okay, pull request. Yeah, we've talked about pull requests and all that. Yeah, but when you go through the course, it's going to make a lot more sense. So yeah, let's quickly preview the JavaScript. Yeah, somebody's hands up. Destiny, do you have a question?
Yes, I do have a question. But it's just one question. That git git init, is it if you just use it once, then you can use it, you don't need to put it again because you already put it, like, is it like you're telling the other,
It's just,
that the git
yeah,
website that,
yeah,
okay, you want to start something, that's what git init does?
yeah. It's just once.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Just once.
Okay, stop JavaScript.
Destiny, please mute yourself. Okay, yeah. So yeah, it's just once. Once you run git init, you have done the initial, you have initiated that repository, and that is all. You can continue working from there. Sorry, someone is knocking again. Yeah, so once you do it once, that will be it basically. So yeah, let me just quickly run us through git through JavaScript. We'll do some intro, and then maybe you can also start reading, and then maybe by next weekend we'll cover it a lot. So yes, JavaScript is an interesting guy. He's the brain behind the web. He's the one that puts in the functionality, puts in the whole brain into the human being we are trying to build yesterday. So why am I using this note? So that maybe I'm just trying to show us how to, so that you guys will also be motivated to log in and maybe go through these lessons, right? And look at things in depth. So yeah, before you write a single line of code, you need to know where JavaScript lives and how to run it. So where does JavaScript live? How can you run your JavaScript? There are basically three methods of using JavaScript, of writing JavaScript, right? You can write it in your browser console, like your browser that you're looking at. You can write JavaScript inside, but that's not like the healthy way to go about it. But yeah, I'll show you guys how it works. So all the browsers, because JavaScript was initially built to run on browsers only. Initially, it was built to run on browsers only. It was later on, we now have a runtime called Node.js that allows you to now run JavaScript on your local machine, right? But initially, it was built to run on browsers only, right? That's why you can even write JavaScript in your browser till date. Yeah. Let's say you open a fresh browser, right click, you go to this inspect tab. Let me open this guy. So you have this console. This console allows you to write JavaScript. I can do something like let e equal to 3. I can do something like console, sorry, console dot log e You can see the 3 is there. I can do something like console. I can do something like let b equal to 5. I can do something like console dot log a plus b. Hit enter. You can see it picked a is 3, b is 5. It did 3 plus 5 and gave me it. So yeah, this is me writing JavaScript in the browser. So you can write even a full blown, but this is, you can't build a project here, right? I just want you to understand all your browsers have runs JavaScript, because that was the core of it. It was built to run in browsers. It was later on that we now have a runtime called Node.js, like I explained. So you guys will also, this is another thing you also need to install, download and install your PC, Node.js. Right. This guy is just a runtime. I want to see where it's written. Introduction to Node.js. Let me see. An open source cross-platform JavaScript. Yeah, this is the word I was looking for. It's just a runtime environment that allows you to run JavaScript. That's it, right? So it now allows you to run JavaScript outside of the browser. If not initially, this was only where JavaScript existed, right? Yeah. So so you can write it in your browser console. Just as you can see, you can write it inline in your HTML work. Remember yesterday, yeah, you can write it inline in your HTML. You can write it in an external file with a .js. That's an external .js file, like the one we just created. Those are like the 3 different ways you can write JavaScript. But yeah, this is like the way to go if you're building an application. You can use the external JS, and some cases, or where necessary, you can use the inline, right? So we could just write it external and then link it up, right? So basically, looking at, yeah. So let's say maybe we have like a HTML file here. Let me have HTML file. I could just call this guy index.html. So I can do this exclamation. You understand this thing, so I don't need to explain this one again. JavaScript, called JavaScript. So we have a separate file. So we have 2 files in this folder: the HTML file and then the JS file, right? The JS file. So you can have your JavaScript externally here. So maybe I can do something like the same things I wrote in that browser. Let me try to do that here again. I did this equal to 3, and I also said let b equal to, yeah, okay, let me see. Okay, 4, we could do something like let c, and then we'll equal to a plus b, and then console log this. Let me do this in the browser as well. Right click, console. I can say let a equal to 3, let b equal to 4. I can now say let c equal to a plus b. I can now say, okay, console dot log c. You can now see I have 7. That's a is 3, b is 4, c is now a plus b. So a is 3 plus 4, giving us 7. And now I put it 7. So if I'm doing that in an external file, so this is an external file now, right? To run this guy now, I'm not in the browser now. I need Node.js. Back to this place. We said it's a JavaScript runtime environment. You just have to install it on your PC device, right? So once you download it and install, you could do something like node -v to check if it was successfully installed. Sorry. Let's say node-v. Let me type it in full version. Okay, that's a bad command. Let me use my terminal to check that guy here. Let me see. No. Okay, hyphen version. Oh, it's bad command, which means I didn't write that correctly. Double hyphen v. Let me see. Bad command. Okay. I love it. They're making mistakes. Let's go and check. How can I check if Node.js is installed on my machine? Always research. Let's see. I'm not ready to watch a video. Oh, it's just node-v. Okay. Node-v. That's the command. How I used to write. So now you can see the version of Node that's installed on PC. I think there are two commands. You can do Node. Let me try this. You can also write version in full. Let me go back to browser and see what other options they have. Okay, we've done this. Let me use Gemini and ask him about the other option. Okay. Can I use node hyphen version to check my Node.js version? See, it should give us the correct thing. Absolutely yes. This is the command. So what was I writing? So node, oh, I use only one. Double hyphen version. Oh, that works. So basically, if you're using the shorter one, it's just node 1-v gives you the version, or node double hyphen, and then you can write version in full. And then, so once you see this number is just showing you like the version of Node that is installed on your PC. So, but if you do not have Node installed on your PC, you're not going to get this. If you even throw invalid command or Node does not exist sort of error, you're going to get something close to that. At that point, you know that Node is not on your machine. So why am I checking that? Because I want to run this file. So I can then do Node lesson.js. Something is not right. Wait, I like it. And there are mistakes. Okay. Is it node run lesson? Still not correct. Let's go and research. I like this part. How can I run a JS file in my terminal using Node.js? Let's check. Okay, then you should cd into the file. That's make sure you're in that file where cd into that file where that navigate into the folder where that file is, right? And then run this command, node the name of the file in full. We are not far from it, right? They were cool deliberate mistakes, right? So it's node lesson2.js. That's the file. You hit enter. It didn't work. Why? I don't know. Let's try it in the terminal and see. I think maybe there's something wrong with my VS Code. So let me navigate to that folder. This is a folder. It's in lesson 2. We are currently in lesson 2. Oh, let me go back. I like this. Let me look at the logs. So look at the logs. Let me run this thing again. Look at the error message. Cannot find users Samuel desktop ICT Zoid lesson2.js. we cannot find it. So what this implies is that we are running this command in the wrong folder. We are not where this file is. So now look at where we are running this command. ICT Zoid cohort 2.0. Yes, this is ICT Zoid cohort 2.0 lesson 2. You see, we are just here, and then we now called the file here. But the file is not directly inside ICT Zoid cohort 2.0. The file is inside another folder called lesson 2. We are not inside of that folder. So we now go for ls lesson 2. So this is we are now inside of the folder. I can now see lesson 2. Let's run the command again. Node.js lesson 2. You can now see the answer outputted is 7. Cool. So these are the possible mistakes you're going to experience. And then there are the possible mistakes that will throw you off from the initial phase and start, what's happening? And then you find yourself staying there a whole day trying to solve one problem. So also try to look at if you forget a command, research it just the way we are doing, right? If you run the command, you know you are running the right command, but you're not getting it, read the error message. It's very important. As an engineer, you cannot ignore error message. If you do not understand an error message, let me go back. I want to do that error again. Yeah, if you do not understand an error message, back then, when there was no AI, what we would do is you can copy some of those error messages and then check it on Stack Overflow. But now that we have AI, you could just copy the error message and dump it on an AI tool and ask it to kindly explain this error message. So basically what I want us to understand is we are not just only learning how to solve. In fact, writing the code is no longer a problem now, right? There are AI tools that write code, but you now thinking as an engineer, that's where sometimes maybe the AI will not do that thinking for you, right? Will not design all the structures you want for you. Yeah, you can work with an AI to do all those design, but the idea is yours, right? Okay, so we have done this. Let's see what it's telling us. The classic module not found error. Don't worry. It is arguable that most common errors you will encounter when working with Node.js. And please stop telling me plenty stories. Let me see. How to fix checklist. 9 items out of 10. Check for typos in the file name. Make sure that the file name you wrote here, lesson 2 was correct. Because if you do the mistake of writing this thing, you're still getting the same error, even if you're in the right folder, right? Let me navigate to the right folder. Lesson 2, we're in the right folder now. Let me run command. You see this works? Let me run the other one. This doesn't work. It's still giving us that same error message that file is not found. So that's what your AI is telling us here now, that the first thing is check for typos. Check. Did you make a mistake while writing the typo? Verify your current directory. That was our first initial mistake. We are not in the current directory. So you have to verify that you're in the right directory, right? So those are like the checks. Okay, then the other quick fix could be the easiest way to ensure you're running the right file is to let your terminal do the heavy lifting. Type node with a space after it in your terminal and then drag and drop your lesson 2 file inside. This is what it's saying you can also do. We could do something like, okay, let's go back. Yeah, we are currently not in the right folder, right? So you're saying you could do something like this: node, open this file, drag and drop it here, and then run it. It will give you the answer. So what it will do is it will now generate a path to that file. So this is like you just wrote node, drag it and drop it. I will not advise you to be doing this. Why? If you have a large code base, you'll not be dragging files here and there. Where you're working with like maybe about 100 files upwards. Yeah, you could just maybe do that and drop it, but that's not really a way to go. Try to maybe check things for yourself. Check your current working directory. So all those commands, we already have them. It's just to type pwd, you run it. What is pwd telling us? Let me clear the screen. So to clear my terminal, you could just type clear to erase everything, right? Clear. So pwd, so you can see that, oh, this is where you are currently at. You are in ICT Zoid Core 2.0. You are not inside of lesson 2. So you can navigate inside of lesson 2. Type pwd again, you can check. You are now in your lesson 2. You can then run your node lesson 2 underscore 2.js. You hit enter and you get your answers. So we have looked at 2 ways of running JavaScript. Okay, I have 5 more minutes. 2 ways of running JavaScript. The third one now is inside, is inline, right? Let me go back to our node. Yep. Okay, yeah. Yeah, the third one now. Okay, we have looked at browser. We have looked at external, and then we now look at inline, right? Yeah. So another thing again is as well, you can link this file into your HTML, right? So doing that is pretty simple and straightforward. You can even see it here. So remember, like I told you yesterday, you can do this thing. You can put it in the head section. You can link this thing in the head section. The command is also here. You're just using script, and then let me just come here and do this. So you could just write script, lesson 2.js. So this is it here now. So let me run this file. Let me see if I can go live. Yeah. Open my inspect and look at the console. Sorry, I think the wrong file is running. But yeah, let's just do this one. Yeah? Lesson 2, index.html. Inspect this guy. Yeah, you can see 7 in my terminal. If you can see 7. I don't know if you can see the 7. Okay, let me put a comment here. So now we are not running it directly. We connected this JS file in our HTML. This is where we did the linking, just here, right? So let me add something like the sum is C. Okay, let me refresh this file. You can now see the sum is C here. 7 here, if you can see this. So, but this is running from the HTML. You can see this file index.html, right? So that's like us trying to link these guys together, right? Let me comment this part. Remember what comments are. Once you comment a code snippet, it becomes unexecutable. You can write this code directly, even inside this file. Would have a script tag, and then you could have this written here. So you see in the head section, I still have this written. So I just wrote script, and then here, open. This is the opening tag and the closing tag, and then I'll write all my JavaScript code inside of this place. Let me change these values. 22, yeah, 30. So let me go back to that file and refresh that file. You can now see the sum is 34. That is written in the head section of the file. So this is like happening inline. So this is an external JS file that was linked to the call, to the an external JS file that was linked to the HTML file. And then we also did the approach of writing your JavaScript in the terminal. And then we tried running your JavaScript outside of the browser in your terminal using Node.js. So basically, these are like the three different ways you can write JavaScript. Yeah, I think that will be all for today's session. So you could also, at least now you have a good ground on how you can write and run your JavaScript. So during the week, if you're even trying to learn JavaScript from the LMS, you should at least you will understand how, at least the other modules, yeah, you get to learn variables and all, but you now understand where to write it and how to run it to see your output. If you stumble over a blocker, you make a mistake, how to research it, how to trace error logs, and then unblock yourself. And if you get blocked and you can't block yourself, unblock yourself, still feel free to use the WhatsApp group to drop your questions there. I'm sure there'll be somebody to answer you, right? So yeah, feel free to also interact with these lessons. And then in our next lessons, we'll be looking at JavaScript in details, right? So basically, this weekend, what did we do? This weekend, we did an introduction to HTML and CSS. We learned the grassroots of them. We learned how to write it, how to write our HTML, write our CSS. We learn also how to write our JavaScript and run it. Now you have access to the instructional materials. You can as well study and then try to write HTML for yourself, write CSS for yourself, do some of the JavaScript. So on our next live session, we'll still run through these three guys again, right? And then most importantly, you also learn how to use your terminal, right? You also learn how to push to GitHub. So you can also create your own GitHub account and start whatever you learn, write it, push it. So like that, you understand, right? So let me also push this one. So if I do git status, you see that this, all my changes will show here, right? So I can add them. The first command is for you to add. Let me go one step at a time. So you add it. So currently I'm in lesson 2. So I'm adding to lesson 2. Meanwhile, let me check my current working directory. Okay, let me go back one step. So that will be in the main folder. So this is the main folder. So I can do git add, everything is added. I'll do my git status to check everything is now looking, it's no longer looking red. So it means everything has been added. I can now pass in my commit message, git commit -m in quotation. I can now put in my commit message. JS files included, right? Then I can now push it. Git push origin, the name of the branch I want to push is lesson 2. That didn't go because of the /. So when you push and it goes to the remote repository, you see messages like this. You have compressed 100% 6 of 6, all of these. Once you see this, you know that, oh, you have successfully gone to the remote environment. And come back here, let's refresh this guy and see. So if I navigate to lesson 2 branch, you understand concept of branching. You can now see lesson 2 folder. You can click this, you can see the JS file. So if I click on this JS file, I can even see the small code we wrote. Come back, click on the HTML, you can see everything that we wrote it all here, right? So yeah, basically guys, that's like all we've done. So I expect that this week, once we have time, I'll make time to do some of those things. Already we have a lot of things to learn. I think I've pushed about 7 or 8 courses on our LMS. So we have like you have introduction to JavaScript, GitHub, terminal commands, HTML, Java, CSS. this were last week's session, right? So yeah, we'll be covering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 throughout a couple of weeks, and then we could then add in React inside when I know that at least we are comfortable at some extent with these guys, and then we'll now put in the final model of it, which is the AI side of things. I believe I was able to pass this message, right? I don't know if anybody have a question to ask, or we should call it a day. Yeah, Destiny. Shoot.
Okay, sir. So, sir, my question is, from the JavaScript you did, if you
Mhm.
want to see your results, you can only see it on the terminal, not like in the way CSS and Java and HTML is you can see the result in a Chrome browser or maybe Edge browser, but for
You can
JavaScript, it's
you can also see it in the browser. But now you are going, there's one step further, right? You write more commands, right? So, but initially, I'm just trying to keep it very simple, right? So, but there are ways, when we start doing DOM manipulation, document objects, DOM, DOM, DOM manipulation, that's where you can use JavaScript to write on your HTML, to write in your HTML file. You can use JavaScript to create an element and send it to display on the web. So you can use JavaScript now to display anything you want to display on the web, basically. At that point, you're now doing DOM manipulation, right? Document object manipulation. I think it's also part of the, let me log in as a student. I think DOM manipulation is included in the lesson as well, right? But yeah, let's take it step by step. JavaScript. Let me enroll for this. Yeah, this thing works when you're in dark mode. You get to see things. Yeah, you see DOM manipulation. So at this point, you're manipulating the browser.
okay, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any other question, reaction? This week was fully packed, I guess.
Yeah, very packed. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
Mm.
Good evening, sir.
I got to kill it.
Hello, sir.
Hello, yeah, I can hear you.
So it's just concerning the payment.
Let me stop the record.